Hi, I'm John Tregoning, and did you know that ADHD is one of, if not the most prevalent childhood mental illness? So, in this speech, I'll be talking about a case study I found, the overall symptoms of ADHD and the cost they can have on somebody's life, the history and timeline of our current understanding of the disorder, the potential causes of ADHD, which are not super well known, but there are specific factors that can lead to it in cases, and the treatments of ADHD that don't deal with curing the illness, but more treating the symptoms of it. So my case study is about a boy named Jack who's about 7 years old. Jack was a good kid, but he was very restless in school. He had trouble focusing on classes and lessons unless it was a topic he was specifically interested in, which in that case he would hyper-focus on it and be incredibly focused, more so than his peers. He was very impulsive, often blurting out answers that he knew before the teachers finished saying the question. His family had a history of ADHD, so he was predisposed to it. And in general, he's undergone things like behavioral therapy to help deal with the symptoms of ADHD. And they're trying out various medications to see what the right ratio is for him to help with dealing with those symptoms. Those symptoms being the three kinds: inattention, hyperactive, and impulsive. Inattentive symptoms are in general defined by things like trouble focusing, trouble staying on topic or staying on track in a lesson, or forgetfulness. Hyperactive is what it sounds like. Somebody who is restless, can't really stay still, somebody who needs to fidget all the time. And then there's impulsive, which is also what it sounds like. Somebody who often doesn't wait for somebody to finish speaking before responding. Somebody who does things very quickly without fully thinking them through and talking about it first. And these symptoms lead together into the three potential types of ADHD somebody could have. The first being inattentive type, where somebody is mainly showing only inattentive symptoms. In general, these people a lot of the ADHD symptoms are confined mentally, so it can be masked more, which means it's harder to overall diagnose somebody with ADHD inattentive type, because a lot of it is that mental issues of focus, memory, which are easier to mask. Then you have hyperactive. That's what most people think of when they think of ADHD kids. The person who's always running around the room, the person who's bouncing off the walls, high energy level, needing to talk a lot, disruptive in class maybe. And then you have combined type, which gets the worst of both worlds. They get a lot of the forgetfulness and memory issues and focus issues of an attentive type, as well as a lot of the inability to stay still in those classroom settings. Costs of ADHD. So the symptoms of ADHD, I chose three ways that the symptoms can impact somebody. Firstly, educationally. It is very difficult for someone with ADHD to focus in a classroom setting, meaning that the quality of their education, unless they're particularly interested in the topic, is generally going to be lower unless the teacher can make it engaging for that person. I don't think I need to explain why having a lower quality of education can impact somebody's life in the long run. Then you have social costs, which, being the impulsive person, can often make you come across as rude or somebody you don't really want to hang out with if they're rude and they don't really ask for opinions or feedback or think before doing things. That can have a social cost on somebody. And then financial costs. Therapy and behavioral therapies and medications to help deal with the symptoms of ADHD are expensive procedures, which is just another fee on a paycheck, which can have that cost added on to all of the other bills that someone could already have. History of ADHD. So in 1932, hyperkinetic disease of infancy was discovered by two German scientists, and this is the first case of somebody discovering something that would later be considered ADHD. Then in 1968, it was added to the DSM-2 as hyperkinetic disease of childhood, which first time it was added to the Manual for Mental Health Disorders. Then 1987, it was changed to what we know as ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder, in the DSM-3. In the 1990s, it was discovered that this disease or disorder persists not just in childhood, but through into adulthood. It's just harder to catch simply because people tend to find more coping strategies, ways to deal with the symptoms and live their life. 1994, it was added to the DSM-4 and then split into the three types that are known: inattentive type, hyperactive, impulsive, and combined type. And then in 2013, it was added to the DSM-5 and is as we know today. So potential causes of ADHD, the first is genetics. There are a handful of genetic factors that we don't fully understand that contribute to ADHD, but we do know that if somebody's parent or grandparent has it, they have a predisposition to having ADHD. There is noticeable patterns in brain activity between somebody with ADHD and somebody who doesn't, mainly in the frontal lobe, which controls things like impulse and decision making and focus. And then thirdly, there are factors during pregnancy, like low birth weight, or if you're exposed to harmful chemicals in the womb, it can lead to a predisposition towards ADHD. There are two main treatments to ADHD, the first being medication, which you can take non-stimulant or stimulants. Both have similar effects of increasing the amount of norepinephrine in the brain, and dopamine, just to sort of allow that person to focus more easily, keep their thoughts less scattered. Then you have behavioral therapies to help cope and find strategies to deal with the symptoms of ADHD, like planning, planners, finding specific places to do specific things to help your body, condition your brain to do those things in that place to help you more easily do those things you don't want to do. So in conclusion, ADHD is defined by inattentive, hyperactive, and impulsive symptoms. The main treatments for it are behavioral therapies and medications, non-stimulant and stimulants, and the cost it can have on life is pretty widespread, as it's something that doesn't really go away. It can have educational, financial, and social costs that aren't fully explored and will vary from person to person. And thank you for listening. And these are my references.